Hello again, Thoreau fans. Corinne Smith here, looking at the new books that we got in the year 2025, ones that might hold some interest for you. Now, not all of them are specifically focused on Henry David Thoreau, but as you know, the more you read and study Thoreau, the more you want to know about his friends and his legacy and maybe about other folks' interpretation of his work and all kinds of other what were tangential lines but then become important to you. So the more you read, the more you want to read, the more you want to know. So we have about a dozen books to talk about that came out this year in 2025, and then we will look ahead to the beginning of 2026 to see what we can expect to put on our bookshelves over the next 6 months. So for new books in 2025, we will start with what I think is the most popular book from our list today, at least in terms of sales to the general public, and it's Finding Your Walden by Jen Toda McGivney. How to strive less, simplify more, and embrace what matters most. 5 principles for modern living from Thoreau. Right. So, it says that this book combines classic lit with happiness studies, exploring how experts, psychologists, career coaches, and doctors support Thoreau's ideas as guideposts for today's great reassessment. It combines insights of the 1854 classic with people who embrace the pare down to trade up philosophy today, whether through major life changes or smaller life hacks. Their stories inspire us to apply creativity, simplicity, and peace to the experiment of life. This book isn't about shunning money or success. It's about grappling with the purpose of the first and the meaning of the second. Now, you guys all know this stuff because you read Walden and you may have already internalized some of Thoreau's inclinations for yourself. But these are good reminders. And it could be that you still need some gift ideas for people this holiday season. Wouldn't this be a nice gift? Here you go. Finding Your Walden by Jen Toda McGivney. Thanks, Jen. Michael Berger spent years working on this reference book, and it finally made it into print. Henry David Thoreau, A Companion, from the McFarland Companions to 19th Century Literature series. It is a thick and hefty paperback reference book, and Michael takes the places, the people, the writings, the analytical concepts surrounding Thoreau, and he puts them into an order that is alphabetically arranged, and they are lengthy articles. And so just passing through here, we have conversation, education, Lydia and Emerson, Mary Moody Emerson, friendship, Harvard College, Katahdin, Maine Woods. I'm scrolling through here. Poetry, Joseph Polis, romanticism, science, the service, smoke, Thomas Carlyle, all the Thoreau's, travel literature, Unitarianism, alphabetical order, lengthy articles for each one. And Michael did a ton of research for this, a ton of research. Also, let me go to the table of contents here. In addition to this alphabetical listing of articles, there is an introduction called Rediscovering Thoreau, a brief biography, a chronology of his publications, a selected bibliography of Thoreau scholarship, a chronology of his lectures, and a list of his residence and travels, in addition to a lengthy bibliography. Wow, magnificent. Thank you, Michael. This is intended to be, indeed, a companion to anybody who studies Thoreau, all right? And it, I think it probably weighs 2 pounds, Michael, doesn't it? It's more than 1, that's for sure. Okay. Henry David Thoreau, A Companion from McFarland, and from Michael Berger. Thank you, Michael. Next, we have Emerson's Daughters. Ellen Tucker Emerson, Edith Emerson Forbes, and Their Family Legacy by Kate Culkin. And I can hear you now. You're saying, maybe some of you, oh, I didn't remember that Mr. Emerson had daughters. Or maybe you're saying, oh, I haven't thought about Ellen and Edith for a very long time. Or not at all. So these are reasons why Kate Culkin wrote this book, okay? Let's see here. Ellen and Edith, the daughters of Lydia and Jackson and Ralph Waldo Emerson, grew up in the heart of Concord, Massachusetts, famed literary community and a culture that celebrated self-reliance. These two formed a partnership that only strengthened as their paths diverged, with Ellen remaining in the family home and Edith marrying William Forbes, moving to Mill Run, Massachusetts, and having 8 children. The sisters' partnership allowed them to tend to the demands and opportunities created by their father's career, including serving as his secretaries and editors, and helped them shape his posthumous image. This is the biography of a sisterhood, the first full-length study of Ellen's and Edith's lives. Building on archival research into the extensive correspondence between them, it adds to the growing body of work on women's contribution to transcendentalism, while opening a window onto the rich and understudied family life of the Sage of Concord. Thank you, Kate, for doing this. Sisters wrote a lot of letters to each other, and so we can see what they were doing and what they were thinking about as they wrote about their activities to each other. So, Emerson's daughters, Kate Culkin. Back in May 2022, a group of people gathered in Iceland for an international conference about Thoreau, and this is the proceedings book from that conference. It's Henry David Thoreau and the Nick of Time, Temporality and Agency in Thoreau's Era and Ours, edited by Catherine C. Dolan, John J. Cusick, and Henry Otterberg. It contains the text of 15 papers that were delivered during the conference. So if you were not able to attend in Iceland, then you can get this volume and you can feel as though you didn't miss out on the opportunity. And of course, the dust jacket is the classic painting, Walden Pond Revisited, as rendered by N.C. Wyeth. So this would be quite the handsome volume to put on your shelf if you think that you need it or you want it. Henry David Thoreau and the Nick of Time, the Iceland Conference from 2022. I was really excited when this next book came out. It's Randall Fuller's Bright Circle, 5 Remarkable Women in the Age of Transcendentalism. The 5 women are Mary Moody Emerson, Elizabeth Palmer Peabody, Sophia Peabody Hawthorne, Lydia Jackson Emerson, and Margaret Fuller. Each one gets her own chapter in here, and their paths all intersect so often that they're in and out of each other's chapters anyway. I thought this was a unique way of presenting their stories. Now, I've read about the Peabody sisters. I've read, I almost want to say, ad nauseum about Margaret Fuller. I've never read Phyllis Cole's biography about Mary Moody Emerson. I have it. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet. And Lydia Emerson, I probably don't know enough about. So yes, Bright Circle sounded good to me to bring all these 5 women together. I especially like the fact that the author refers to Mrs. Emerson as Lydia, her original given name, and not Lydian, the way Mr. Emerson forced her to change her name. And this book did get some good reviews early on. But I'm trying not to be judgmental about all these books. If you put this book in the hands of one of the other biographers who wrote about these people, they will point out factual errors and interpretive errors. It could be the kind of thing like I've seen before with other authors. They try to summarize something. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened here, but I've seen examples where people are trying to summarize and boil things down to a more manageable concept, and they boil it down to something that's not true. I'm not saying that that's happened here, but I've seen it happen. Maybe it's happened here. Most recently, Sarah Wider, W-I-D-E-R, wrote a 10-page review in the December 2025 issue of New England Quarterly of this book that you absolutely should read if you're considering getting this, if you are concerned about accuracy and validity, because she dissected it and had some pointed comments about it in that review. So, Bright Circle, about 5 women we should know more about, and yet I'm going to say buyer beware on this one. If you plan to use it as a reference for your own work and a starting point for your own work, be sure to get 2 or 3 or 4 more references so that you can check up on all of the details to make sure you've got the correct information. Bright Circle, Randall Fuller. Margaret Fuller is going to come up a lot in our discussion today. This year, the Library of America finally released a volume of her collected writings in one colorful and handsome volume. Yes, they've gotten away from that shiny, glossy, black dust jacket that just has one black and white photo of the writer on there. This one's quite colorful and quite nice and would, again, look handsome on your shelf. So this one contains Summer on the Lakes in 1843, Women in the 19th Century, her 2 books, essays, journalism, journals, and letters. And it was edited by Brigitte Bailey, Noel A. Baker, and Megan Marshall. If your personal library does not include any of the writings of Margaret Fuller, then yes, of course. Here you go. They're all in one place. It's the new Library of America volume. Colorful dust jacket, Margaret Fuller's collected writings. By the way, all the information, at least titles, authors, listed down below also, so that you know where you can get them. Okay. All right. Some of these books I do not have in hand, and I have the cover pictures instead. So there's a fiction book that just came out called The World That We Are by Andrew Furman. It features 2 storylines. One follows Mr. Thoreau back in the day, and the other one follows a Thoreau scholar today in Maine. And so the description says, it's 1837 in Henry's world. He struggles to find work as a teacher, to discover his voice as a writer, and to realize true friendship and romantic love, all battling all the while against the family disease that threatens his health. When a captivating young woman arrives in town, she ignites in Thoreau a tumultuous love triangle with Thoreau's brother, forcing matters to a crisis. Meanwhile, second story, David Herzog, a Thoreau scholar in present-day Maine, embarks on a reflective journey in the autumn of his life upon the unexpected return of his estranged daughter. Her reappearance in town forces him to grapple with their painful shared history and seek a new path forward. Alternating between these 2 timelines, this book delves into enduring themes of love, family, a quest for meaningful work, and a search for a true home in the spinning cosmos. That's The World That We Are by Andrew Furman. It just came out. All right. The Active Soul, Emerson and Thoreau on Reform and Civil Disobedience, edited by William Homestead. This is a compilation book of 6 essays, 3 of Emerson's, 3 of Thoreau's. It begins with a lengthy introduction by William Homestead, it's more than 30 pages long. And then here we have, let me see where it is. These 6 essays. From Emerson, we get The Oversoul, The Fugitive Slave Law, and John Brown. From Thoreau, we get Civil Disobedience, Slavery in Massachusetts, and The Last Days of John Brown. So, if you don't already own copies of those essays, or if you'd like them in one of these succinct volumes, Emerson and Thoreau together, don't always get that, okay? Plus this lengthy introduction explaining all of it by William Homestead. Then this is for you, The Active Soul, William Homestead. An interesting little book came out this year called Little Rex, A Night at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery by Gary Porter. Rex is a dog, a little dog, and this is a fantasy. It's sort of for children, but it's sort of for adults too, I think. It's a fiction book, has a lot of magical realism and fantasy in it. Little Rex is a dog, and he goes into Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, and he meets the ghosts of the people who are buried there, and he gets to learn more about their stories. Yeah. Jan Turnquist wrote a blurb for this book, and she said that it's a joyful read for dog and history lovers alike. So there you go, Little Rex by Gary Porter. Crimsey Lilith released 2 relevant books recently. I wish I had this one in hand. It's a very colorful cover. It's called The Magical Story of Walden Pond. It's a very colorful children's book. I only have this black and white color picture of the cover, but I've seen it. It's very colorful, and it is brilliantly psychedelic inside. Very psychedelic inside. And if you thought Little Rex was a fantasy, then you haven't seen anything before until you've seen this. Magical Story of Walden Pond goes way off the charts on fantasy. It's supposed to be for children, but I'm not so sure about that. I mean, and an adult could appreciate it too. And it makes a fantasy world out of Walden Pond, a psychedelic fantasy world out of Walden Pond. Crimsey Lilith also gave us a book called Walden-ish, a woman's adaptation of Henry David Thoreau's Walden. So yes, what she did was she took the text of Thoreau's Walden and she adapted it in a feminist, or at least maybe gender neutral kind of way. I've seen it in person, and I will admit that I did not take the opportunity to read much of it, except that I do think I found the passage in which it said that the mass of people lead lives of quiet desperation. Walden-ish, Crimsey Lilith. A journal excerpt book that recently came to my attention is A Natural Wisdom, Gleanings from the Journals of Henry David Thoreau, edited by Walt McLaughlin. It's a collection of excerpts from Thoreau's journals, and Walt has arranged these in year order by year and month, gives full credits at the end. It's about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch thick book. If you want some cool journal excerpts, you don't have any, here you go. A Natural Wisdom, a nice little book of gleanings from the journal if you need them. Moving on. This is a tangent. I know it's a tangent. I want to show you this intricately illustrated children's book called Mighty, the Story of an Oak Tree Ecosystem. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. It traces the growth of an oak tree through stunning illustrations. Stunning, just absolutely stunning. I'm going to get myself out of the picture here so you can see these. It's just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. And I didn't realize this. I got this originally for the shop, to sell at the shop, because Walden Pond State Reservation is an oak habitat, and I thought this would work well, you know, and we have lots of oaks in New England, and I thought this would work well. And then got to a page that gave me pause, got to this double page spread. I'm going to take myself out so you can see. Now, the text says, on his journey south, a naturalist stops to study the tree. Remarkable specimen, he writes in his notes. Now, who do you think that is? Henry Cole, the author-illustrator, does not identify this person. Is it John Muir? Is he on his 1,000-mile walk to the Gulf from Indiana to Florida, where he stops to look at this tree? That seems logical. But couldn't the case be made that that's somebody we know? Or any other, botanist, observer of the late 1800s. I just think that was a lovely accidental surprise for me to have this in this book, in this beautiful book. Beautiful book. Mighty, the Story of the Oak Tree Ecosystem by Henry Cole. Don't you know somebody that you could gift this one to? Somebody young or somebody older? Or maybe it needs to find a place on the coffee table in your living room. I really like it. Okay, so that's a wrap on the books that I know came out this year. I bet there's some more, because authors self-publish things without leaving much of a mark or without informing too many people. If this includes you, please make comments below, promote your book below if I missed anything that came out this year, because that's what I thought came out this year. But wait, there's more, because we have 5 books that will be released in early 2026, along with the culmination of another huge project that has been on the horizon for a while, and it's going to make probably a big difference in a lot of people's lives. But first up, scheduled for release on January 13th, 2026 is, wait for it, drum roll, Correspondence 3, Volume 3 of Thoreau's Correspondence, 1857 to 1862 from Princeton University Press. Yay! We have all been waiting for this for years. Years, I tell you. I have been waiting for this one since editor Bob Hudsmith told me that he had just submitted the manuscript to his Princeton University Press editors, and that was what, maybe 5 or 6 years ago? They've been sitting on it ever since. Now, I realize it's a thick book, but, you know, well, okay. And we have all been waiting for it, especially if you own the other 2. Okay, it's a 3-volume set. This is going to complete the set. All right? And yet, you're going to have to start saving your pennies now, children. Actually, you're going to have to probably save more than $4 a day between today and the time that this book comes out, because the retail price of the book will be $175. Princeton University Press. Now, every once in a while, Princeton University Press holds a discount time on its website. And others have told me about this. I've never taken advantage of it myself. But if you're used to watching for these, you may be able to get a better deal on the price later in the year. Otherwise, yeah, $175 right out of the chute. You can decide whether or not it's worth it to add to your shelf right next to these. I can tell you that I am referenced in there. I won't tell you why. All right. In February, we will see Ken Lizotte's book, Walden For Hire, Business Lessons from Henry David Thoreau. Henry Thoreau has come to be defined primarily through the lenses of a writer, environmentalist, thinker, surveyor, and activist, but a deeper look into his life reveals Thoreau as a creative and eclectic thought leader with timeless contributions in the business arena that are as profound as his impact in other disciplines. Like so much else that Thoreau attempted in his life, when opportunities arose, Thoreau not only proved himself more than capable at just about anything he put his mind to, from innovations in farming and science to writing and public speaking, and he did things in ways that were inventive and unconventional, often yielding highly successful results. In this book, best-selling author Ken Lizotte draws out the hidden business insights we can all learn through Henry Thoreau's life and the body of his work, bringing to light how his natural curiosity and problem-solving skills drove multi-successful business enterprises and an enduring legacy. There you go. Walden For Hire from Ken Lizotte. That comes out in February 2026. Also, coming out in February will be yet another novel about Margaret Fuller. Okay, remember last year we got Finding Margaret Fuller by Allison Pataki. Well, now in 2026 we will get Sparks Fly Up, The Lost Story of Margaret Fuller, which is a novel by Carol Strickland. And in this one, it seems as though the shipwreck has already happened and Margaret's friends come together in Concord, where they squabble over how to memorialize her life. The description says, in this transformative, meticulously researched, and sure to be much discussed view, some of these friends are proud of her ambition and others are scandalized. And the friends include Emerson, Thoreau, Hawthorne, Whitman, and Melville. Now, I'm thinking, because like I said, I've read enough about Margaret. and her circle of friends, if you don't include James Freeman Clarke and his sister Sarah and Ellery Channing and all of the women that I just talked about in Bright Circle, then you might not be able to create a reasonable picture of Margaret Fuller at the end. But we'll see what happens. Sparks Fly Up has a bluish cover in real life by Carol Strickland, coming out in February 2026. April 2026 will bring us the Emerson Circle, The Conquered Radicals Who Reinvented the World, written by Bruce Nichols. Here's the description. Concord wasn't just a town. It was a crucible of innovation and reform. Luminaries such as Emerson, Hawthorne, Margaret Fuller, Louisa May Alcott, and Thoreau gathered there, united by ideas that would shape the nation. This book recreates this vibrant world, packed with brilliant conversations, emotional correspondences, and the essays, novels, speeches, and poetry that forever marked and changed American culture. Along the way, the author shares intimate, surprising details that make these iconic figures human. Wow. This book captures a forgotten utopian moment in our history. Anything seemed possible. These men and women turned away from the Bible in favor of the natural world and science, and they inspired our greatest early writers to create their most and original lasting works. Now, really, we don't have a lot of accurate books that give us group histories like this one. That's why I thought Bright Circle would be good in this regard, because it was a group of these transcendental people. That one turns out could have flaws. We've got The Concord Quartet by Samuel A. Schreiner almost 20 years ago, and it's still a good one, and it's still available. I will not name the book that we do not name, that was supposedly a group biography of these people, and it was more flawed than anything else I've ever seen. So we're not mentioning that. But I'm kind of interested to see what the Emerson Circle will do and how it will fit into our ever-growing transcendental canon of literature. Not a canyon, it's a canon. Another book that comes out next year that I am really kind of worried about is a board book for little kids, a BabyLit nature primer written by Jennifer Adams and Allison Oliver, bringing Walden as a board book to the littlest kids. Walden for toddlers, boiled down to like 10 glossy double-page spread pages, color pages. How? I don't know. I especially don't know because it's coming from the same publishers who gave us this board book biography of Thoreau and made him a blonde lumberjack. Please no. Please don't let him be a blonde lumberjack in this one. To be fair, it's a different set of author and illustrator, so fingers crossed. We'll see. I am kind of holding my breath. So finally, 2 months after Correspondence 3 comes out, will come an even bigger splash in our life when the Ken Burns documentary on Henry David Thoreau comes out on PBS on Monday, March 30th and Tuesday, March 31st. Yay! It's in 3 parts. The first 2 will air on the 30th. The last one will air on March 31st. George Clooney is the overall narrator. Actor Jeff Goldblum will supply the voice of Thoreau. Ted Danson will be Mr. Emerson. Tate Donovan will be Ellery Channing. And of course, Meryl Streep will supply all the voices of the women in the story. There will be lots of experts who weigh in. You will recognize a bunch of them, and at least a bunch of their names. A trailer preview has already been released. I will put the link to that below. So that's a wrap for today, folks. Lots of reading material here for you to consider. Lots of reference material. And then, of course, Correspondence 3 coming out in January and the PBS Documentary coming out in March. What else could we ask for? I'm Corinne Smith. Thanks again for watching. Now go absorb some of these books.